Good day, my name is Angelo, and this is Channel Up, your most preferred YouTube channel. How have we been? As we over here, we've been doing perfectly okay. We give you updates on true crime, mystery, lifestyle, and a bit of African politics. Now, I have noticed that something has been trending. Of course, if you've been a frequent surfer online or on the internet, you will notice that there is this particular issue that is trending far away in West Africa, okay, with Burkina Faso as a country amidst or at the center or at the focal point of this trend. All right, I'm going to take you through. Some of you don't know why this particular issue is trending. Some of you don't even know why people are protesting around Africa and around the world. Global protests have been taking place in different countries for the same reasons. All right, some people don't know. Some people have been asking me, explain to us XYZ and all. So this particular update will take you through to tell you what is happening in Africa, why people are protesting, the main issues, and the way forward. Stay tuned. So if you're conversant with African politics, you will notice that Africans have rallied around the world in support of Burkina Faso and its leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Now, why are they supporting Captain Ibrahim Traoré? Please stay tuned and listen. Recent developments in the Sahel region have led to widespread demonstrations across Africa, with many showing strong support for Burkina Faso and its leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Now, the rallies held under the slogan, "Hands off the AES." Now, if you don't know what the AES means, the AES stands for the Alliance of Sahel States. That is, in French, it's called Alliance de État du Sahel. It's a regional bloc formed by Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger Republic in September 2023, following a series of military coups in those countries. Now, the alliance was established as a mutual defense pact and a platform for political and economic cooperation, okay, among these three countries that I've mentioned. So, as I was saying, the rallies that had this tag, "Hands off the AES," and other tags in their placards brought together thousands from countries like Burkina Faso, Ghana, and Liberia. These protests were organized by grassroots groups and social movements, united in their opposition to foreign control and attempts to destabilize the region. So from here, you could have a brief glimpse of what the protest is all about. All right. Now, the truth is, we have heard lots of several attempts or coup attempts on Ibrahim Traoré's government. All right. This has risen public support for him globally and even in Africa. Okay, this growing solidarity comes in the wake of Burkina Faso's announcement that a coup attempt, of course, I told you before, had been stopped on April 21st, just a few days ago. Military officials described the attempt as a plan to create disorder and undo the country's push for independence and reform under Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Okay, let's touch the African countries now into this solidarity. In Ghana, the Socialist Movement of Ghana, ASMG, which helped organize the protest, praised Ibrahim Traoré's leadership. They stated that Captain Traoré represents African pride and resistance. We support the people of Burkina Faso in their efforts to take back control of their resources and future from new colonial powers. Without wasting much of the time, let me drop a video for you where one of the activists of the SMG was angrily making his points. Stay tuned.
Yes, this is a show of solidarity with the people of Burkina Faso and their leader, Captain Traoré. We're here to let them know they're not alone, right? Whatever is happening in Burkina Faso is happening everywhere, particularly in Ghana. So today's just a show of solidarity with our people in Burkina Faso. Yes, that's what happened today. Sekou Touré said something. He says, "The day you find our enemies praising me, know I betrayed you." Right? There's no way your enemy would actually say anything good about you. But let's deal with the issue. Let's break it down. Let's make it very simple. America and France seem so concerned about Traoré and Burkina Faso, right? The question is, what is their business in Burkina Faso? For a very long time, the French colonies in Africa, 14 of them, in fact, till date, don't have their own Ministry of Finance. They always have to keep their monies in the Ministry of Finance in France. So if Burkina Faso wants to buy anything from Ghana, they would have to write to the finance ministry in France for them to release the funds to Ghana. Where does this make sense? France has, if not the third then it's the fourth largest gold reserve in the world. But France doesn't have a single active gold mine in France. So where's the gold coming from? So if today the people to the leadership of Burkina Faso are saying they do not want France in their country any longer, how is that a bad thing? In fact, the people, not just in France and in Burkina Faso, but across the world, are standing in support of what Burkina Faso is doing. So what's the West business in this? Let me even tell you something very interesting. When the Ghanaian president was being inaugurated on the 7th of January 2025, Captain Traoré was the guest of honor. Hear this. He was applauded even more than the president who was being sworn in Ghana. That tells you how popular he is. So our message to France and America is this: deal with your issues in America and in France. France is broke today. As of 2019, their debt to GDP was about 173%. Today is much worse. France should deal with their nonsense in France and leave Burkina Faso alone. America is in tatters today. America is well in over $3 trillion in debt. They should deal with their nonsense and leave Traoré alone. Today, look at the life of Burkina Faso in Burkina Faso today. Burkina Faso has complete and absolute ownership of all their resources, particularly gold. If nothing at all, our man has built 2 tomato factories and is actually industrializing. What has France done in Burkina Faso in the last 100 years? But again, let me speak to my African youth. You see, this is not just a Burkina Faso fight. This is an African fight. Traoré has shown us that it is possible for us to take ownership and control of our nations. This is a lesson to all of us and a message to all the African youth. It is time for us to reclaim what is rightfully ours. We are not negotiating, we are not begging, we are reclaiming.
You could hear him angrily speaking there. Now, in Burkina Faso's capital, Ouagadougou, crowds gathered in Nation Square, waving national flags and expressing their loyalty to Captain Ibrahim Traoré, their president. The ASMG also criticized what they called ongoing plots and attacks by reactionary forces and accused major global powers of trying to drag the AES countries. I told you what the AES means. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger are part of the AES, back under the influence of France, the US, and NATO. For the sake of the news, I'm going to be using ASMG. What ASMG means, the Socialist Movement of Ghana, as I said earlier. Okay, so how did these AES countries rise, and what brought about these growing tensions? All right, now the alliance of Sahel states, that's the AES, as I said before, made up of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, don't forget, has become a symbol of resistance in West Africa. All 3 countries have expelled French troops and ended military deals with their former colonizers. All right, now tensions have increased following remarks made on April 3rd by the US AFRICOM commander. If you've been online for the past 2 weeks, you would be following this. General Michael Langley, speaking to the US Senate, Langley accused Captain Traoré of using Burkina Faso's gold reserves for personal protection. His comments, along with a recent visit to Cote d'Ivoire, where coup suspects are believed to be hiding, have caused a very, very big backlash. Let me drop that comment for you so you would listen to what he said, and we'll continue after that. Stay tuned.
Absolutely, Chairman. I see this, and I don't mind calling them out, but Captain Traoré and Burkina Faso, as they know that both, whether it's their gold reserves, that is all those proceeds are just in exchange to protect the junta regime. There's a number of examples across, even in.
Okay, that was a statement there. Now, Cote d'Ivoire continues to protect Blaise Compaoré, who is widely blamed for betraying and helping, unalive former Burkinabe leader Thomas Sankara in 1987, according to history. Now, he remains in exile under Ivorian government protection. Well, that's one. Now, the ASMG said that Langley's accusations were part of a strategy often used by Western powers, portraying African leaders in a negative light to justify outside intervention, just as they did in places like Libya, Iraq, and Ghana in the past. All right, all this information are in the public space, and some people were really, born when these things were happening. All right, so the group pointed to a history of African leaders being targeted for trying to put their countries and its resources to use for their own people. All right, figures such as Patrice Lumumba, Kwame Nkrumah, Amilcar Cabral, and then Thomas Sankara were mentioned as examples. Please watch this video. One of the members of the ASMG is angrily voicing out his own embarrassment or his own dismay, let me say, dismay at what is happening in Africa. And he spoke about this particular point. Stay tuned.
The message is very simple. Hands off Burkina Faso. Hands off AES. So I don't see the reason why the United States, France, the Europe, they are so interested in the affairs of Africa that anytime good leaders emerge, they will come out with propaganda through BBC, CNN, and all the Western media to manipulate the youth, come in, and you know what they do? We know. Let them know that we know what they do. They use the narrative of dictatorship, the narrative of human rights, the narrative of democracy, and then use that as a ground they work on to analyze our leaders. We have seen that. We have the track record. Today, it is not going to work. Today, that message is all over here. All Africans are saying that message, that Africa is for Africans. The resources of Africa is for Africans. Exactly. If democracy is the best system of governance, tell me how a democratic governance will be in Burkina Faso since independence, and only 3,000 roads are completed in Burkina Faso, the entire country. The message is simple. We are here to show solidarity to our brothers, the AES Confederation, and particularly the Burkinabe leader who has so many assassination attempts on him. We are saying that enough is enough. This man in question, Ibrahim Traoré, is a leader. He is not a dealer. We had dealers in the past. Today, we have one leader we can point out to. There were days where we have...
Okay, so what is the way forward for the Sahel, and what is the new direction? All right. Captain Traoré's government has taken bold steps, including expelling French military forces, ending unfair agreements, moving away from the CFA franc currency, and channeling national wealth into basic services like education, healthcare, and food security. All right. These reforms have continued despite economic sanctions and pressure from outside forces. The same reason why people are protesting globally for him to be left alone. All right. Now, the ASMG called on Pan-African and progressive groups to take action by doing these things. Okay, this is what the ASMG is telling people to do from Ghana. Speaking out against the coup attempt and foreign interferences, that is the different attempts on the life of Ibrahim Traoré, holding demonstrations against imperialism, and then they are also asking or demanding that Cote d'Ivoire should stop protecting those involved in alleged coup, just like I mentioned earlier about Campore and his dealings that unalived Sankara, according to sources. All right. Now, urging the African Union too and the ECOWAS to defend Burkina Faso's independence. This is what the SMG want Africans to do. All right. The developments in the Sahel, okay, or the Sahel region reflect a broader shift across the continent. More African nations and communities are standing up for self-determination, dignity, and systems that reflect their own values and dreams. Okay, so in conclusion, before I call it quits, in my view, the unfolding events in the Sahel region reflect a powerful and long overdue awakening across Africa. The unity shown by ordinary people in defense of Burkina Faso and its leader, Captain Traoré, reveals a growing refusal to accept external control or interference. Captain Ibrahim Traoré's efforts to reclaim national sovereignty and invest in the well-being of his people should be recognized as a courageous step towards true independence. Trust me. As Africans, we must continue to stand against all forms of neo-colonialism and support leaders and movements that prioritize the needs of their citizens and over foreign interests. The struggle in Burkina Faso is not just theirs, okay? It is a collective African fight for dignity, justice, and self-determination, especially according to the ASMG, all right? This is the reason why there are global protests in support and solidarity of Ibrahim Traoré and his, initiative, okay, This is the reason why lots of people are carrying placards across Africa. This is the reason why lots of people are supporting, are coming out to support Burkina Faso and its leader in London, UK, in the UK, in the US, in other continents. All right. So if you've been asking why there have been protests and why it is trending, this is your answer. All right. So if you love what we do here, why not like our videos, share them. Don't forget to drop comments for us in the comment section. And then if you're watching me for the first time, please tap the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that when I drop a new update, you will be amongst the first to see. Wouldn't you love that? See you next time. Bye.